The story of Elizabeth and Philip had an amazing 73-year marriage that faced all kinds of challenges. They navigated a constantly changing world and the heavy responsibilities that come with being royal, making them one of history's most memorable pairs. But their children want to let us in on some lesser known parts of their relationship that might help explain the separation their love story kickstarted way back before either of them really understood their future roles. Prince Philip very sadly passed away aged 99. The royal was very close to his only daughter, Princess Anne, and had a special place in her father's heart. In honor of her beautiful father-daughter relationship, we have taken a closer look at Anne's bond with her father. The Princess Royal was born in 1950, a year after the Queen and the Duke of Edinburgh welcomed Prince Charles into the world. The royal couple went on to have their third and fourth children, Princes Andrew and Edward, almost a decade later. Close friends and family have previously been open about Philip's relationship with his children, with many claiming that Anne is his favorite child. The princess has inherited many qualities from her father, showing her love for sports and dedicating her life as a working royal. Aileen Parker, wife of Philip's close friend Mike Parker, previously revealed, "Philip always had more fun with Anne. Charles is more like the Queen, while Anne is very like Prince Philip." The Duke of Edinburgh and his daughter Anne, the Princess Royal, enjoyed membership of an exclusive two-person admiration society. It was a relationship that was totally unqualified, and neither father nor daughter could see any wrong in the other. Indeed, one way in which to annoy either one was to criticize the other. They shared many of the same characteristics of being outspoken, abrasive, stubborn, strong-willed, and sarcastic, and also the same sense of humor, which was often at the expense of others. Neither would ever suffer fools gladly, or at all, and both were impatient with those who did not grasp things as quickly as they did themselves. It is from Prince Philip that Anne has inherited her total honesty and unwillingness to compromise on matters she believes in. On the day Princess Anne was born, 15th of August 1950, Philip was promoted to the rank of lieutenant commander in the Royal Navy. After the birth, he allegedly told everyone, "It's the sweetest girl." When she was growing up in the royal household, Anne confessed that she didn't mind that her parents weren't around much. They were supportive and never really quibbled about what you wanted to do, she said, according to royal biographer Ingrid Seward. There were occasional comments like, "Was that really a good idea?" I don't think that any of us for a second thought that she, the Queen, didn't care for us in the same way as any other mother did. It all began when Anne was still a young girl. She quickly realized that she would have to take second place to her brother, Prince Charles. As she once told me, "I became used from an early age to being a tail-end Charlie." Philip, who from the moment of his wife's accession to the throne, was also forced to take a subordinate role, immediately started to instruct his only daughter in how to handle the frustrations and tribulations of a court life where all the attention was on her brother. People always said that Anne was her father's girl, and she has never contradicted anyone who expressed such an opinion. She has the same attitude to life and very similar forthright opinions, particularly about the media. They both had a tendency to be abrupt with photographers, especially when one was competing in a sporting event, and neither was ever afraid of giving offense, occasionally with accompanying four-letter word. There is a strong physical resemblance and some similar mannerisms. Anne loves sport. When she was growing up, she was constantly with her father when he was playing polo. It was Philip who taught Anne to sail on Loch Muick on the Balmoral Estate, and it was he who directed her enthusiasms towards sporting rather than academic achievements. Having entered the public life at age 18, Anne has dedicated the majority of her time to serving her country. She is often hailed as one of the hardest working royals and also topped the list last year, carrying out an astonishing 540 official duties, both at home and overseas. Prince Philip's royal tradition is something Princess Anne chose to uphold with her children when none of her brothers did. In 1963, The Princess Royal became the first British royal woman to attend school when she started at Benenden. At the time, she couldn't follow in her father's footsteps and go to Goddesden School in Scotland, as it wasn't co-educational. But this later changed, and both of Princess Anne's children, Peter Phillips and Zara Tyndall, were educated there. This insightful biography focuses on the role of Princess Royal throughout history, including Princess Anne, who currently holds this prestigious title. It explores Princess Anne's life, drawing on journals, royal letters, and associated material, and how the 6 Princess Royals before her helped to shape this position. This could be seen as continuing Prince Philip's tradition, as the Scottish boarding school was his alma mater, and he is reported to have thoroughly enjoyed his years there. All 3 of his sons went on to attend Goddesden too, perhaps indicating exactly how much of a valuable experience the Duke of Edinburgh found it to want his sons to have it too. However, none of the rest of Prince Philip and Queen Elizabeth's grandchildren went there. So if it weren't for Peter and Zara, this royal educational tradition would have completely faded away in this generation. It's not known why King Charles, Prince Andrew, and Prince Edward's children didn't attend Goddesden, though His Majesty in particular is often reported to have had a difficult time at the school. Although he later declared in a speech in 1975 that he was lucky to have gone there as it taught him a great deal about himself and how to accept challenges and take the initiative. Despite this more positive remark, though, Prince William and Prince Harry were both educated at Eton College after Lidgrove School. Meanwhile, Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie went to St. George's Ascot and Marlborough, respectively, and Lady Louise Windsor was educated at St. George's School, Windsor Castle, and her brother James has apparently gone to school in Berkshire too. This makes Princess Anne's decision to uphold Prince Philip's royal tradition unique, and it's perhaps one that Zara and Peter had a say in too. Either way, they certainly seem to appreciate their time at Goddesden, as Zara shared back in 2018 that she loved school and that whilst she did get homesick, Peter looked out for her. "I loved school. I loved sport and being with my mates all the time," she said, as per express.co.uk, before adding, "You do get homesick, but I had so much fun, and Pete was very protective. All his friends were too. They kept me out of trouble." So it seems that she and Peter had fun upholding Prince Philip's royal tradition by attending Goddesden. Following his death, the school posted a touching tribute to their oldest alumnus, who joined the year the school was founded. More than anything, he understood and was hugely supported at Goddesden's educational ethos of not only fulfilling academic potential, but also of developing life skills through experiences outside the classroom, including sailing and community service, they declared. "We are immensely grateful for his support over the years, and his presence and support in the school's life will be sorely missed." He used to give them as good as he got, and always in a very entertaining way. He was always able to manage interviews and say things that the rest of us always dreamed we could say. He was brilliant, always absolutely brilliant. He continued, "He had a wonderful sense of humor, but of course, you can always misinterpret something or turn it against them, so it sounds like it's not right. But anyone who had the privilege to hear him speak said it was his humor which always came through and the twinkle in his eye. I'll remember my father in a number of ways," he said, "for what he has done in his public life, for all the organizations he has supported and influenced, and obviously as my father and husband to my mother, and all the work that he has done there, and as a family, we will remember that more than anything else." Also speaking on the program, Princess Anne discussed of her father's legacy. "Without him, life will be completely different," she admitted. But from society's perspective, he was able to keep pace with the kind of technological changes that have such an impact. But above all, that is not about the technology, it's about the people. In 2017, Prince Philip announced his retirement at the age of 96 after 65 years of service. When Anne was asked about whether she would ever slow down on her commitments, she told in 2020, look around at the members of my family who are considerably older than me and tell me whether they have set an example which suggests I might. Unlikely. In a pre-recorded interview with ITV, the Princess Royal has admitted life will be difficult without him. Without him, life will be completely different, she said. Of her, the late royal's legacy, Prince Anne added. But from society's perspective, he was able to keep pace with the kind of technological changes that have such an impact, but above all, that it's not about the technology, it's about the people. Out of all the Queen's children, Anne has been the most successful in leading an independent identity, both as a professional housewoman in her charity work and in order to lead a relatively normal life. Anne turned down royal titles for her own children, Peter Phillips and Zara Tyndall, knowing that her position in the line of succession would be moved down once her brothers had children. Indeed, nobody was more pleased or proud than her father. When Anne won the European three-day event equestrian championship in 1971, and then went on to represent Britain at the 1976 Montreal Olympic Games. Both were extremely competitive, and neither believed that coming second was something to aim for. Princess Anne frequently tops the unofficial league table in the number of public engagements she undertakes in a year. In normal circumstances, it is usually around the 500 mark, and even during the COVID-19 restrictions, she has still managed to carry out over 300. She says she's no point in having a day off, neither did Prince Philip. Anne merely admitted that some are more interesting than others, while Philip said, "It's the price we pay for the positions we occupy." But just because they loved and admired each other, it did not follow that they invariably agreed at all times. They would sometimes argue, hammer and tongs, about various topics in which they both had an interest, such as wildlife or conservation. To any outsider, it might have appeared to be a serious row, but they always seemed to end up the best of terms. It was a truly genuine father-daughter relationship, and one that was cherished equally by them both. It never faltered. There was an almost uncanny telepathy between them. They were on exactly the same wavelength, even through Anne's divorce from Mark Phillips, though privately, her father was greatly distressed as he thought theirs was a marriage that would last. Now, pictures retrieved from the archives show how close their relationship really was as the pair are seen hugging, a public display of affection very rare for members of the royal family. The photographs in question were taken at Ascot Racecourse in July 1987, when Anne was 36 and Philip was 66. It is highly unusual to see royals embrace or show outward signs of affection, even towards their children or significant others while in public. An astonishing footage from 1951, which sees the Queen returning from a royal tour. She did not even hug a young Prince Charles after stepping off the train at Paddington Station. After being reunited with her son after months abroad, the Queen kissed him on the cheek and shook his hand. This interaction is typical for how members of the royal family behave in public.